Is the Swift load board a boon or a bust? Hang out. We're gonna get Craig on the line via audio stuff. Jeff is gonna be here with no video as well. So you just got to look at my ugly face all night tonight. Sorry, y'all. Hate to do it to you, but that's the way it goes. Uh, Hey, we'll be right back. So we're gonna do the thing, and then we'll do the more things and stuff. Sound good? All right.
Paying too much for trucking insurance? What if you could save more by making one simple phone call and keep more profit? You could very well do just that with one simple call to Seabright Agency, 800-366-6466. Call now.
Now here's a question that all owner-operators and small fleet owners should consider. What happens when you access the unrivaled advantages that are available through the ES Advantage program? We asked Jeff and Charlie from Contractors Corner to share their thoughts on how they've been able to utilize the discounts and services that are a part of the ES Advantage.
So we started looking for a way to save money on fuel. And we were turned on to the ES Advantage program for fuel first. So we got a hold of Jeff Reese, and he ran us through that program. And man, we were starting to save. And then we started talking to them. Well, we saw their website, and we said, Jeff, what's this thing about insurance and accounting and
right.
You lease trucks? What?
Right, and that's the thing, is we only knew it as a fuel card. And when we started digging deeper, I mean, we ended up getting hooked up with an insurance provider, Seabright Agency, and they created an entire insurance program just for us and our people. And from that, we've learned that, now there's even more potential. There's a greater opportunity, and it's completely opened up our eyes and broadened our vision into what it is we're trying to do, which is help people do better. Wrapped with the ES community just makes that process so much easier.
Now, if you're an owner-operator or small fleet owner and you would like to learn more about how you can drive savings to the bottom line of your business, the ES Advantage program has the discounts and services that deliver the kind of unrivaled advantages that are designed to help you improve your overall operation. Get connected with the ES Advantage today.
So look, there's Jeff, but not Jeff. Hi, Jeff, not Jeff.
Hey.
We can't see your smiling face today. Where you at, man?
I'm driving through Ohio on I-75 in my custom Western Star today.
Oh, dude, at the start of the show, like within your first 3 lines.
I have to get it out there, man.
Man.
Yeah, freaking weather, man.
Go ahead.
I'm going like 10 miles of just whiteout blizzard, and then 20 miles of sunshine, and then 10 miles of whiteout blizzard. That's been my day, man.
That sounds about right. Yeah, so Cragio was actually going to be in here, and then he just got loaded. So, yeah. He should be joining us via audio here shortly. Hey, Ida. What doing? Let's see. Let's figure out who was here. I believe Undertaker was first tonight. Yeah. He came in and typed 2. I'm like, you mean 1? Anyhow, I called him a quitter after that. James Bond was second. I mean, because he just defeated himself before he even, you know what I mean? Whatever, quitter.
Yeah.
And James Vaughn and Sean Fairman and Chris, good to see you. Kenneth Bay, I can't talk. Kenneth Bear Hayslip. Why don't those words go together in my brain? Just saying, it doesn't work. Greg goes in the chat, just saying. Tim Ransom, good to see you, buddy. Tim said he just booked a load off of a load board, 2,300 mile load. I think he's on the mileage rate, though. TK, glad you and Craig hooked up. He told me about it. I'm glad that worked out. Yeah. Ismail. Wait, is that the Ismail? So is that the one that the dogs came from for
Yeah.
Jeff? Okay.
Yep.
Because this name is crazy. Ismail Div. Man, I need better glasses. I just got these ones. Div. Diviahi? I don't even know how to say that, bro. I'm broken. Whatever. Yeah, Tim C. Ransom's on the mileage contract. It's good stuff. Yeah. So fuel surcharge for you Swift guys. 0.645 is my understanding, with a 12-cent bump on the West Coast. I haven't verified that. I'm taking you guys at your word. Of course, I didn't work this week because want to hear a funny story?
Suspended.
Suspended. My CDL was suspended Thursday morning. Yeah, it was great. Yeah, wonderful stuff, man.
Tell them why.
So get this. I went and got a physical done a couple weeks ago on the 4th. I know. I just like, Lord, I'm still mad about that, Charlie. Yeah, she was trying to plan me when it came up that I was no available. So I did a physical on the 4th. My medical card actually expired on the 7th officially. Everything was fine. Swift got the notification from CertiDrive. It was all good. Then the Florida DMB, randomly does their check after your card expires, and they're like, hey, it's not there. They gave me a couple of extra days and then suspended my license because they couldn't find it on the FMCSA site. So hauling lobsters. Yeah. So I try to get a hold of the clinic. I spend all day Friday trying to get a hold of them, or all day Thursday trying to get a hold of them. They wouldn't call me back. They kept saying, oh, leave a message. Oh, we sent them a text message. They should call you back. Nope. So I did what I do pretty good. I reached out to senior leadership that had some chains and ropes to pull. And good old David Tillman came through for me. I actually got a hold of him right before he did that live this week. And right afterwards, spoke to him again. He got his team involved, but, by then it was too late to do anything. So Friday morning, his team got involved. They contacted CertiDrive. CertiDrive contacted the medical provider and said, hey, our dude didn't get put in the system. How come? I mean, I've got my card in hand, my long form, the whole 9 yards, right? Florida is now like 100% compliant, I guess, with this stuff. And you don't do any self-certification anymore. If they don't get it, if they don't see it on the FMCSA site, which has to be sent by the medical facility, you don't have a medical card. Great stuff. And the medical facility said, yeah, we sent that. What do you mean? It's not us. We didn't do it. Mind you, I was in the office in Florida at the DMB people talking to them. They spent 45 minutes on the phone on a hold waiting to get a hold of people at FMCSA who said, no, it's not here. It was never sent to us. There's nothing. We can't see nothing.
Was this Concentra by any chance?
No.
No. Okay.
No. And then miraculously, after CertiDrive and my buddy David Tillman and his people got on to CertiDrive got onto the clinic late that night, miraculously, Florida had the full deal. And I was no longer suspended in Florida system. However, no one available at Swift on the weekends that could pull me off the safety hold. So I've been home and I've missed this entire week of fantastic fuel surcharge. And I'm really sad about it, to be honest, because I was expecting to be, over $2 a mile this week because, why not? So far, my high is at 196, I believe. except for when I was on the other load board. I did some pretty good ones over there. But yeah, what a
So
bummer.
Charlie, what's the highest surcharge you've seen?
I can't remember. I was trying to think of that earlier.
I think it was in the 70s with a 15-cent differential for West Coast.
Yeah, I
It's the
can't
highest
remember,
I've seen.
dude. I could see what the highest EIA fuel prices are. Oh, I know. I can make a smart AI do it.
So a funny thing happened on the way to the show, folks.
Nice.
Before the show, Charlie's like, "Hey, we got like 5 minutes. I'm gonna go use the bathroom before the show." I'm like, "All right." As soon as he leaves the screen, I hear Rosie going, "Come on, let's go potty. Come on."
Ah! That's appropriate.
Obviously talking to the dog, but you know, it was just one of those enjoyable things in life when things just the universe, the planets align, and something funny happens.
Yeah, you know, I didn't even think about that when I heard her calling Momo past me. That's great. That's exactly
Well, I
what
think you had.
I went to the
I think
bathroom,
you had
too.
to see. I think you had to see it from my perspective, man.
Oh, I bet it was great. The AI is thinking. I'm curious to see what it says. Nice.
So Charlie, since you're using AI, we could talk about AI again a little bit. You know, all these political posts that people see on Facebook right now, for the war, against the war, for Trump, against Trump.
Uh-huh.
I've been running the memes through AI and fact checking. And I kid you not, about 90% of the memes that people are putting out have absolutely no, like, there's nothing even
Really?
remotely like what these memes are saying. Yeah.
So according to what I got, I see you there, Professor Cragio. Stand by, brother. According to the EIA and my AI, the highest weekly average, national average, was 581 per gallon on June 20th, 2022.
581 on the national average.
Yep.
Is that higher than $5?
That's definitely higher than $5, 81 cents higher.
We don't do politics on the show as a general rule, but people know what I'm saying. If you know, you know.
Just saying, yeah, 2022, June 20th, 2022. Where's my contract? I know I had it open. Hey, someone look it up. Somebody smart. Hey, let me get Cragio in here. Professor Cragio up in the house. His microphone's muted, but he's there. When he gets that unmuted, he can talk. I like that he put in professor on his name tag. That's great.
Did he?
Hey, at least he's got a picture where he's not.
That's the new name from Chris Hamilton, Professor.
Right? It's gonna stick too. I'm just saying, man. I will send you that thumbnail later, dude. You know, it was very difficult to de-Nintendoize that thing to get the AI to quit yelling at me.
I bet it was.
Oh, bro, when it started, whole different world. It took me an hour to get that thing to kind of picking out little, dude, there was like little Nintendo bits all over this thing. And I was like, no, you know, whatever.
So where are you at, Craig?
I'm leaving out of Wyetheville, Virginia, heading down to Knoxville.
Okay.
Yeah, Craig tells me today. Yeah, I'll be good later on today, I think.
Got to take the work when you can, man.
Look, I get it. I'm just mad that I'm not working this week. I'm missing out on the 6.645 cents nonsense. And maybe a little angry that I'm not on percentage like some people yet.
Tell me.
Craig, let's kick it off with your insurance claim experience, because I thought that was an interesting story.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Tell you can't just say pretty good and end it, man. So tell folks what happened to start with, how you ended up needing a claim to start with.
Ended up needing a claim rolling through Erie, Pennsylvania,
Ew.
heading to upstate New York, and Bambi decided she wanted to dart out from the northbound to the southbound. And tried to miss her, but I wasn't going to swerve, so ended up clipping her just a little bit. Busted my headlight lens, messed up the headlight assembly. So,
Of course it did.
oh yeah, and that whole headlight assembly was like $1,500-$1,600. So,
Right.
like me and Tony talked about, smart to file a claim on it.
Mm-hmm.
After talking with Tony, he told me, hey, just give these guys a call or fill out that link. Claim will get processed. Went online, did it within minutes, received the confirmation email, probably within 30, 45 minutes. One of the ladies from insurance company reached out through email saying, hey, this is going to be your adjuster. He'll be reaching out to you. He reached out to me in email. By that time, I had already talked with the shop in Greer, let them know that I wanted them to do the work or the replacement of the light. They went ahead, being proactive, because I was being proactive. They went ahead
Right.
and ordered the headlight ahead of time from Peterbilt.
Nice.
Trusted to take my word, I would bring it in there and get it fixed. So, plus they ordered it under my truck number, so even if I didn't come,
Yeah, you were getting tagged for it either way,
I'm gonna
even
pay
if they
for it
gave it
either way.
away.
So yeah, man. Justin said, hey, no deal, no problem. Let them fix it. If they find something else, just have them call me, email me. I exchanged information between both of them guys. Like, Adjuster, you talk to Greer, Greer, you talk to Adjuster.
You're right.
I'll see you in a few days. So,
Yeah,
pretty simple process.
I haven't filed a claim. I mean, we've had multiple people file them, but we get kind of mixed stories because people are they're not good storytellers. Let's just be real, and we end up talking about lobsters or something. I don't know, but I thought that your experience was kind of cool because you just it all just clicked, man. I mean, and that's usually what we've seen happen with most people on these big claims. Is okay. So here's a caveat. If you're in an accident, okay, don't call one of those lawyers on a billboard.
No, don't do that.
We have one that's still in litigation for 2 years, and his lawyers that he called have it all locked up, so he can't be paid out.
Right. It can't be paid out till the case is closed.
And his lawyers are like, yeah, it's not really worth enough for us to actually go do anything about it. So unless they just settle and do something, we're just going to keep him here. And this guy still hasn't been paid out.
That sucks.
Just saying, because
Yeah, if he would have just let the insurance company do what insurance companies do, he would have been made whole by now.
yeah, if he had let Seabright do the job that they do, in particular Tony, he would have been so much better off. And and if he wanted to go after them for further, do that afterwards, because he's been paying on his truck the whole time apparently too for like 2 years. So I don't even understand how that I don't know, weird stuff, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, because the business expense thing only lasts a year, right?
Right. Yeah, I just don't know. Ken said he's had 2 windshields replaced with Seabright. No problem both times. Was a seamless, painless process. So get this. I don't have a deductible because Florida resident. And I just paid for them. I know it's going to sound silly, but I just paid for them because they were only like $100 and something. They were under $200.
Mm-hmm.
Getting it done at a Swift shop. So I was just like, pfft. That's honestly not even worth the paperwork hassle at that point. And I don't know. Tony yelled at me for doing it, but whatever.
Yeah, same thing I do. I just go to the grill shop if I need a windshield. They'll make the call and the guy come out change it. I probably need to be yelled at too, but I'm like you on that, Charlie. I don't want to go through the headache and hassle.
Right. I mean, there's some things I'm just like, nah, it's really just not worth it to me. I mean, it's like, so it's kind of like, filing a claim on an $800 repair.
Mm-hmm.
You got $1,000 deductible, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I just come out of pocket and fix it.
Yeah.
Look, I had a driver back in the day who was attracted to anything that was painted brightly yellow.
Mm-hmm.
And he had reported several of those incidents to our carrier. And they told him that the next yellow object that he finds completely irresistible, that he would not have a job. Well, they told me that because, they can't tell him that because he was my employee. They're like, he's not going to be here if it happens again. And I'm like, okay, I'll let him know. Dude called me, a couple weeks later. Hey, man, I found this bright yellow thing. Craziest thing, it was on the driver's side. It was a painted Jersey barrier at a truck stop. He wanted to park next to that Jersey barrier because it was the closest spot to the truck stop.
Mm-hmm.
And please explain this to me, but he hit the bright yellow Jersey barrier right below his eyeballs.
What?
Center of the Kenworth steps in the 660 that we had. He says, hey, this happened. I'm like, hey, 2 options. File a claim, pay for it yourself. You make the choice. I'm not going to tell you what to do. And he made the choice. He paid for it out of his own pocket. I never saw it. And I'm like, okay. Just saying. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what happened. It was way back in the day. I was baffled by that though, man. Look. I can see the barrier. I can see a barrier. I can see a barrier. Nope, not him. Sorry for you two that don't have cameras and stuff. I was looking down to my left, out the left window. Whatever.
Yeah.
It's only a quarter head turn and a slight nod down. I mean, you can see that damn bright yellow Jersey barriers were the entire length of the truck's parking spot. How do you not know it's there? I'm just saying, whatever. He's like, yeah, I never saw it. I'm like, you are broken. Anyhow.
Oh yeah.
But I had to go through a claim once when I still had the Swift insurance, and this was like way back. Had a contractor drag his trailer, half of his trailer, across the front of my T680 while I was parked in a spot. Yeah, good times.
Yeah, try dealing with a claim around Christmas time, man.
Yeah. And of course he was another contractor, so that went well for me. Not at all. I lost the time. I mean, they paid for the claim, I guess, but no rental truck, no compensation for lost time and things like that, and didn't have an option to have a coverage, and like with our stuff with Seabright, like if I got hurt now on a claim, I get paid, a weekly stipend from the BOE plus the OCAC, right? There's all kind, and we're still trying to work in a regular towing package right now. Tony's had like 12,000 billion things on his list lately, so I get it. But it is something we're working on. Don't think we're not. But that way, because right now, Ken, I just saw your question. Sorry, literally just saw it when I said that. And he asked, any news on the tow insurance? No, not yet. But yeah, instead of, because right now towing's only covered in the event of an accident and a towaway being needed. Not if you're like broken down or something like that, which is kind of a bummer. But that is the kind of claim we're looking at, or policy we're looking at. Maybe we could get a little extra built into that. I don't know, some sort of roadside number, you know what I mean, for maybe tires or some minor repair type things. That would be fantastic, I think. Don't know if it's a possibility, but definitely going to look into it and see what we can find and make sure it's affordable. I'm thinking the $100 range, maybe somewhere between 70 and 120. There is a variance there. If we get a large enough group, the lower the price will be. So I mean, that's just a thing. So yeah, we're trying, but it's good to hear that. I like hearing the good stories. I mean, we've had a couple people that have come back with some not great stories about their claim process. And then we find out the real story later, which is a total bummer because, it wasn't that the adjuster was crazy or Tony was difficult or Sandy or anyone else at Seabright was a problem. It really was the driver because they were not doing what they needed to do. There's things you need to do. You got to be proactive. You need to talk to the right people and say the right things. And yeah, but some people don't do that.
Yeah, you got to be proactive.
If Swift is going live right now, they should be looking at my schedule because they know I'm on it, that we're on at 6 p.m. Tuesdays every week. And they usually actually don't put them on then, but whatever. I get it. It's fine. That was Kaz was telling me, why are you live when Swift is going live? That's fine. We could always click over there and that would be fun. And then I could just start asking them weird questions in the chat. No.
We could do a Mystery Science Theater 3000 on them.
Right? Oh my God. Who's on, Kaz? Which people? I had an email pop up and throw off my screen. No Undertaker. I'm not trying to make anybody mad, bro. I had 3 CR trucks in 3 months kill 6 hoods once. That's insane.
Huh.
How did? Okay, not mathing, but whatever. Moving on. Let's go on to the load board stuff. Okay. Some people know, some people don't. But Professor Cragio here actually has a history in using load boards from other places, right?
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about that, Craig, and then we'll work up into what you're doing right now.
Yeah, I ran the load board over at Jones Motor for like 7-8 years, pulling the step deck. So, and actually ran multiple load boards there, and I would grab stuff from Landstar Mercer from time to time, but predominantly work with majority of our agents. Built some relationships with Landstar DOD agents. Used to do a lot of military stuff, especially up to Alaska. But oh yeah, had that experience in learning. Good inbound lanes, outbound lanes, not just for step deck, but flatbed as well. I had a friend over there, not flatbed, but van. Had a friend over there that was running van, so we always shared the numbers and what they were doing, what I was doing, getting that experience. So then when I, came on over here to Swift, I did it in the Northeast before I did Northeast Percentage. I think maybe about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. So that introduced me to a lot of Swift Great Lanes, what customers had the good stuff, where I needed to be, where I didn't need to be. So taking all of that, applying it to what I'm doing now, I think I've been doing pretty good.
Undertaker, you're messing up my thing, man. I'm just gonna give him a hard time. Watch, I'm gonna drop a shameless plug though. See if they put it up. Give me 1 second.
Got one student so far that's doing well.
Yeah. So what lane are you running most of the time on the Swift one? Are you primarily in the east, southeast, northeast? What are you doing?
Stay in the southeast, and then I'll go up into the Ohio Valley, then upstate New York, PA. Either work my way back east into Ohio out of there, or back down to the southeast, Carolinas, Georgia, Tennessee.
Okay.
All right, I'm back. I'm focused. I apologize. These knuckleheads. Love them, but damn. It's funny because we're actually talking about their load board over here. You know what I mean? It's pretty hilarious. I don't know why they're competing. It's weird. They usually don't do them on Tuesdays at 6-ish, between 6 and 8. You know what I mean? Anyhow, it's whatever. So, now you're on the Swift percentage board.
Yeah.
And what was your very first impression once it opened in front of you? You were able to see rates and things like that. I'm not actually gonna. I don't expect you to share your real tight lanes because let's be real. There's a little bit of you got to build the groove, and Craig and actually Chris Hamilton also is they're building their grooves on the percentage board. For those of you who don't know, Chris Hamilton is actually on the percentage board as well. I'm ratting him out. Why not? But Craig, Chris, and I, and a couple other people I've talked to about it have really kind of been through Craig and Chris going through the numbers and stuff. So have at it, Craig. Let fill in some blanks, brother.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of great lanes, and one of the things that I have been seeing, and me and my OOC had a conversation about this last week. There's a lot of people stuck in the mindset too of running miles,
right?
So I told her, I said, let them have at it. They can go all the roads that are running 8, 900 miles, 1,000 miles, because they feel like I've got to have miles.
Right.
Yeah, it's a totally different business model, though.
Yeah. Last week I did just over, I think, 2,211 miles. Once I drop this in Tennessee, I'll just be clearing 2,000 miles. And I've made more on this 2,000 miles than I did last week on the 2,211 mile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did 2 days ago, I did in 1 day what some guys running mileage can't do in 3.
Right. The numbers have been insane, man. Like we've been, Craig and Chris and I, we've been running numbers like crazy people, and Craig in particular, and Chris Hamilton. For those of you who don't know, Chris Hamilton actually reached out to Jeff and I prior to him coming to Swift as a contractor. Came from another company, started here as a contractor. He had seen one of our videos and started listening, and reached out and started talking to us, and that guy has never had a negative settlement that he couldn't cover since he's been a Swift contractor. He's like our poster child, like legit, because that guy, he seeks knowledge, he wants to learn, he listens to it, and has never had a negative settlement that he could not cover with either his maintenance account or with just straight revenue. Since he's been at Swift. He hasn't had to make up anything from behind or anything like that. So, I mean, the guy's doing really well. And now him and Craig, and dude, you should, I sometimes I wish I could share like our chat messages and stuff. Wow. There's 3 of us in it. It's me, Craig, and Chris in this one group. And these 2 are like nonstop all day long. Hey, did you see this one? Hey, did you see that one? Did you see this one? Hey, oh my God, don't run that one. That one's get terrible. Don't go into Denver and take a load to San Diego, because Denver to San Diego is paying like 85 cents a mile. Just saying, no bueno. But
Right.
that's part of knowing your head haul and back haul lanes, right? And
Yep.
and Craig's got a lot of experience here. So why don't you, if you could, maybe explain a little bit about that, if you don't mind, Craig.
Yeah, and there's a lot of guys that don't understand like what the head haul and the back haul lanes are. Like me and Chris were looking at the same load going to the same place the other day. He said, "Hey, what you think about this?" And I said, "Yeah, I was looking at that earlier, but coming out of there, you're gonna have to deadhead over here to this, but everything coming out of there is trash, or you have to deadhead to this place, and everything there is trash." So
Right.
yeah, even though it's paying well, unless a certain load from XYZ customer pops up, then don't take it.
Right.
And and because you got to know what's coming out of where you're going. Because yeah, you can go somewhere for 255 a mile, but what's coming out for $1.35, you just tank that 255.
Right.
Right.
Especially if it's a longer one at
Yep. You
a
got
buck 35.
Oh yeah.
Let's see, you ran 2.55 at 600 miles for fun. And then you did let's say you did a buck 35 coming back out at another 600 miles. So that's 1,200 miles. Math is not mathing. So let's see. What's that? A buck 35 times 600 is 810. 2.55 times 600 is 1530, which that's a good number. Plus, oops, wrong button. What did I
It
say?
should
The first one
average
was
about
810.
around about $1.80 to $1.90 something.
So all in on that 1,200, you're at 2340 price wise, right?
For gross revenue.
Yeah. And then math says I'm doing things wrong. So, oh yeah, it's like a buck 90, a buck 95.
That's pretty close on it, yeah.
But and granted, that's not bad. But keep in mind, I did $1.96 average last week on the mileage contract.
Yeah. And that's not including what
Yeah,
you
but
did.
you've got
Right.
accessorial and stuff like that. You don't have any deadhead at all.
Right. And that was counting my fuel surcharge. So everything in my gross revenue per mile was a buck 96. With this example, it was at a buck 95. My point is that I can do that on a mileage contract with everything being what it is right now.
Right.
On a percentage, that's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. So Craig, what are you seeing for rates on the longer versus shorter side and all of that?
The rates are far better on the shorter stuff versus the longer stuff. And a lot of you see every now and then something long pop up with a decent rate, but it's all about the market it's going into.
Right.
And that urgency. When I'm looking at something that sometimes same day, that tells me there's an urgency and the rate is gonna match that. They need it
Right.
not next week. They need it today. They need it to load today and deliver today.
Right.
That's what I did this morning on the load. I got loaded in Summerville, South Carolina. Went up to Charlotte and dropped. And that load paid well.
Yeah. Craig and I I was actually, torturing Craig and our buddy Blackbeard and a couple other people over my thoughts of being able to run Florida intrastate. Florida interstate is garbage leaving here. Florida intrastate, however, is actually not bad. The trick is being able to stack enough of them in a day to make it worth them. Right. I mean, you can easily find $4, $5, $6, $7 a mile, but with the short amount of miles, it doesn't give you enough gross for the day, enough gross revenue for the day, let alone enough net revenue for the day. Right. If you can't pick up 3 of them, right. We did notice in other markets, I'm not going to say where the market is, because it's going to be mine. There was a load coming out that was 17 miles, heavy as all get out, I'm sure, probably soaking wet cardboard bales, but it only went 17 miles, and there's no scales between where you pick it up and where you deliver it. Drop and hook both ends, 3 of those loads in a day, 61 miles total, $1,200, $400 each load. All day long, I would do that. I would deadhead from my home to that place to do that.
Yep.
Just saying. Yeah, I just saw that Undertaker. Apparently Swift is now leasing people in Pennsylvania. So
oh, really?
One state has been dropped from the list of no-goes. That's kind of cool. But yeah, so who was it? Kaz said that he's averaging right now 255 a mile all miles. That's another thing that people need to figure into their calculations. What's the total, not just what the dispatch miles are on it, right? Because we all know that can be high or low 10%. It usually averages out over the course of the year is what I found. But some people just have, can't roll past a D1 dice, right? And nerding out, sorry.
That one.
Yeah, right. And wow, lost it. Where'd it go? Flew out of my head. The D1 dice got me. Fix me, Jeff.
You gotta figure in all miles.
All miles. Thank you, sir. See,
Yep.
I knew you guys. See, you guys are here for a reason. All right. I'm gonna need you to pick up the slack here because brain, I haven't got enough coffee in me yet. It's been a long day, and I didn't get a nap today because I've been doing stuff and taking classes all day. Dang phone and stuff and interwebs or whatever. Anyhow, but if you're only calculating the miles that you're being paid for, that's not giving you a true revenue number, right? You need to know
No,
how
it's
many
not.
miles you're actually running.
One of the things I like to do, Charlie, is, with Google Maps, you can do multiple, destinations. So what I'll do is I'm keying in the address of where I'm delivering
Right.
to the address of where it's picking up and the address of where it's delivering
Right.
and getting it all in for actual miles. Sometimes it's spot on, sometimes it's off,
Yeah.
maybe 20, 30 miles, but
I like when it's off to our favor. Not gonna lie.
oh yeah.
Yeah,
But
a lot
then-
of people don't believe that happens, but it does.
Oh yeah, it does.
I was following it real strict for quite some time way back when, because I was a complete numbers geek and my brain was much more focused back then. Anything that was over 10%, 10.1% wrong miles to the negative or negative to me, I was calling my driver leader, Dana, I need you to put this in.
Do the old point to point from city to city.
Yep. And so that, it made up because, Rand McNally Household Movers Guide is what it is. And, they may not necessarily, I don't know what they do. Honestly, some of it, you're like, how did
It's supposed to be plus or minus 8%.
Right.
Last time I looked at it.
Yeah. And Swift's policy was, plus or minus 10, right? What did I ever complain when it was 10% in my favor? No. because I'm a bad person. I'm okay, whatever. I'm running a business trying to keep as many dollars as I can. At the same time, didn't hurt my feelings a whole lot. But when I was 10% short, I'm like, yo, Dana, I need you to do
Yep.
city to city to city to city. And let's get this right. And they would do it. So it wasn't a big deal. And but one of the things that I did see is that, after that, I actually quit calling her about it. I'm like, look, the research that I did at the time was, you could be that 10% either side. And it seemed to average out over the course of the year.
Right.
And people were like, oh, you're so full of it. And I literally ran all the numbers and I kept notes for a good long time. And over the course of the year, it just washed out. I was like, okay, I'm not worrying about this anymore.
That's like the heavy versus light loads at Swift.
Oh my
What
God.
I found was that for every heavy load, I got 2 light loads. So taking the occasional 44,000 pounds of cardboard crap didn't hurt my feelings.
Right.
You're not making money, Jeff.
I know.
That's what, some guys are saying. I'm gonna make money running heavy loads. I am.
Just to throw it out there, Craig, what you been doing for like the last 2.5, 3 years?
I was on the Bush Beans account.
And those are light loads, right? Nothing but light loads, feather lights and stuff.
I wish.
I mean, come on. Beans are full of gas. They're light, bro. What are you talking about? Yeah. He was running like crazy gross all the time. And it made me crazy because, that's a lot. And yet he's still staying profitable.
Yep. I've got a heavy load now. I got 44 or 5 in the box.
You remember when Swift bought all those featherlight trailers, Charlie, that were like 1,500 pounds lighter so that they could put more cargo in them?
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what else is funny about those? Is I found an awful lot of heavy haul type carriers, well, heavy for us, that would not take those trailers.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have the proper floor. They didn't have that the Dura floor.
Yeah. Dura plate.
Yeah, they had aluminum floors. That's part of how they saved weight. But they were rated for higher weights, and they're like, no, it's not a Dura plate. No. I thought, man, you're not smart.
So can you tell us, Cragio, when you look at that load board when you're on percentage, the numbers that you see, are those your all in, or do you have to do the math for the 65%?
It's all in.
So that's what they pay you, is what's on that board.
Yeah. And if it's paying less than the 70%, then it'll be in parentheses next to it that it's a 60%.
Hey, explain that, because a lot of people have lost their minds over what the heck? Why are they paying 60?
I saw that but as we know, people don't read their contracts. People don't read their contracts.
What?
They don't read the contract. And it's in there that if there's a load that's, it's a low ball rate. They drop the percentage on it just so they're getting some profit out of it. But it's there if you need it to get you out of that area that you're in. You don't have to run it deadhead.
Right?
Yep.
Hey,
Craig. Charlie, I did something the other day that you might yell at me about.
Okay.
So my carrier came back to me and said, we could take up to like a $200 loss on this if you want to take this load to get back into market.
Oh, I'm not hitting you on this one because I thought this is good business if you ask me.
You know what I told him? I said, dude, don't take a loss on this. At least break even. Come on. That's just crazy.
It was good on them to offer. I believe that. And I wouldn't fault someone for taking it. No.
But the way I look at it is building that relationship. Right?
Yeah.
If the carrier's taking a loss on it, how are they supposed to stay in business if they do that too much?
Right? Yeah, your carrier's not going to be around long. Let's be real.
Yeah, I told them it's nice of you to offer, but let's at least get you to a break even on this. So I did that.
How many loads have you taken at 60%, Craig? Because they just made sense.
think I've taken one so far.
Okay.
And at that 60% rate is still paid. I think that one paid $2.38 a mile.
Oh, okay.
But you
Hurt
know
my
there's people out here.
hurt my feelings. Why don't you?
You know that there's absolutely people that would have seen that 60% and say, I'm not pulling that. My contract says 70, bro.
Yep.
Mhm.
And never even realized what the math was. Just saying.
So working the math. So Charlie got up to $1.90 something the other week. You don't have a surcharge; it's baked into the rate.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I have a
Wait.
feeling that's going to drive people nuts. What do you mean I don't get a surcharge? That was a problem with what was that command or whatever it was.
Yep.
Remember, Charlie?
Yep.
There was no surcharge on those loads. It was baked in. But Craig, you're making more than what would it be? 65 cents plus $1.15 is what, $1.80?
Yeah. Yeah.
You're making more than that. So who
Yep.
cares about a surcharge?
Yep. And the rates did, I had a conversation, with somebody in Phoenix, and they told me, hey, they guaranteed me after that conversation that I was going to see the rates reflect the fuel increase. Told me, don't worry about it. You're going to see it. And sure enough, started seeing it.
Yeah. That's
Right
crazy,
then.
right?
Yep.
So go ahead.
So Charlie, are we allowed to discuss what the percentage actually is at this point?
Yeah.
Has Swift made that public?
Yeah. It's 70%
Because
of the market rate for the lane that you are driving. I don't know which market they're using. I still don't.
but
they
we
have-
found out that it's on a 30-day roll, right?
Right. That's the understanding that I had, that there's a basically a 30-day roll on it.
Okay. Because the shorter the roll, the faster it reacts to things like fuel surcharge.
Right.
And what I was afraid was that it would be done quarterly or something like that.
Dude, I thought it was going to be like 90 days. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
that's going to suck.
And this
Yep.
is what I was told from a conversation, that they had a call, they had a meeting, and they did not want us to hurt, that we're doing percentage. So they were going to make the adjustments themselves to make
Nice.
sure we saw it. So that's the carrier looking out for their customers.
This is a crazy statement from Ida. I'm going to read to you guys. She just talked to a contractor the other day that's getting off of the percentage program here because he can't make it add up and isn't making a profit without the fuel surcharge.
What?
Why
Dude
is
can't
this
do
person
math.
not watching us? I'm just saying.
Dude can't do math.
You know what? I'll bet you $10 he's one of the guys that's, oh, look, there's an 1,800-mile load.
Yep.
And doesn't realize that it's only paying $1.25
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
with a 200-mile deadhead. you know?
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys. I got to get those miles.
Well, and I want to make something clear too. Again, read your contract, right? Because one of the things I'm seeing in the Facebook groups, well, if you go on percentage, you don't get deadhead miles. And my contract says that I get whatever it is. What is it today, Charlie? Like 85, 90 cents a mile
85, yeah, we'll call it.
for deadhead, right? Well, Craig, you had to sign a new contract when you went percentage, right?
Yep.
And that's all laid out in there.
Yep. It's all laid out, and all the fuel surcharge stuff is taken out.
Nice.
All in
I'm really
rate.
glad. I was a little worried. I thought they were just going to add it as an addendum, leave the surcharge there, and just fight it out in court later, because that's what would have happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yep. It's all that got changed, removed.
So, is the load board your only avenue to get freight, or do planners still plan you, Craig?
Planners still planning me. I'll give you an example. I was had a load going into Newton, North Carolina, that I brought out of Ohio. Some guys wouldn't have ran because it was heavy, but it paid me over $3 a mile to bring it down. Planner said, "Hey, I see you're dropping there. I'll double stack you if you do an Amazon for me." Sure. Gave me an Amazon run and then a Home Depot load after that. Between
Nice.
both of those loads, it averaged over $4 a mile. And when I'm in the Northeast, if I don't see something on the board, got relationship with a lot of those planners up there from my time doing Northeast Regional.
Right.
Call and said, "Hey, and I know they're planning their people up there,
Hmm.
and it's all about the approach, communication, build those relationships. What do you have? Do you have anything?" And they're not just going to throw junk at you,
Right.
because those planners up there between Syracuse, Jonestown, and Richmond, they're planning percentage guys all the time that run Northeast Regional.
Hmm.
And I've got one planner out of Richmond. If I'm in the Virginia area, shoot him a direct message. And his name was Craig. Say, "Hey, Craig, it's Craig. What you got?" Same as last time.
Hmm.
Williamsburg, Virginia, North Canton, Ohio. Walmart. Drop and hook both ends. And why did I go to Ohio? Because there's good freight coming out of there coming south.
Right.
Then there's good lanes that get me right back to the Northeast, where people don't want to go. Hey, that's everybody's prerogative. I'll run it. I'll
Yeah.
go upstate New York, upstate PA, especially when it's paying me almost $3 a mile.
Right.
So Ida followed up on her comment about the contractor not making any money, and she said, I cannot explain to you his logic, but she did look up his pay and verified that he is making no money.
Really?
So, yeah, look, it's not for everybody. You need some basic math skills, guys. Look, and I'm not picking on people. I don't want you to think that I'm picking on you. Business is business. You need at least basic business math skills, okay? If you don't got them, get them. It's easy enough to do. You can hang out with people like us that actually understand numbers and such, and we can go over those things with you. I mean, we have a whole community full of people that would love to talk to people about, the numbers, because we geek out on this stuff. It's crazy. Again, you should see this text thread. Chris and Craig going just complete nerd balls out on these numbers. And I mean, they analyze them deeply analyze these numbers and explain exactly why this one penny here makes it right to do it versus that penny there does not. Right.
Right.
And we've been touching on some of that, the head haul, back haul markets, things like that, understanding where those are. And Chris is learning from Craig about some of those head haul, back haul markets. And unfortunately, Chris and I are going to have to fight when Target is no longer, because he's in, and I'm going to have to go pee on the trees. You get it? I'm just saying, but hey, nothing wrong with good friendly competition, y'all. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
I ain't getting mad. And here's the thing, from what I've seen, there's an awful lot of freight out there for it. And it's growing, to my understanding.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When you learn those markets and those lanes, like Chris throws something in the chat, said, "Hey, what you think about this?" It's on, "Hey, perfect, great. You want to take that. When you get there, look at this city, look at that city, look at that city, and you'll find what you need to do what you want to do in the next coming day."
It has been insane watching these two go back and forth, Jeff.
Because I study the low board.
Yeah.
I don't just look at it to plan and figure out where I'm going. I'm studying it every day. What's coming out? What's going where? What it's doing? How often is this happening there with that customer? This happening there? Learning those lanes.
This is where the moniker Professor Cragio is coming from, y'all, in case you didn't know. Because he is analyzing this stuff like he is deep nerd balls, like holy crap, to the point where I'm like, damn. And I'm enjoying the heck out of it. I mean, for real.
I'll be closing this week out I'll be closing this week out with a gross of 7,272.30
Nice.
on just over 2,000 miles.
That's crazy. Yeah, I mean, no one believes it. You can't do that at Swift. Craig's doing it. Chris is working on it.
Well,
I
and
did.
here's the other thing, Charlie. One of the arguments I make for leasing to a carrier, whether it's a Swift or a Schneider or even a small mom and pop, we don't have to pay for all of the insurance.
Right?
So, by the time a guy with his own authority pays for auto liability, general liability, all that stuff, they're looking at starting the year tens of thousands of dollars behind the eight ball. Right? We don't have that. We've got auto liability, we've got OCAC, we've got what we got. And it's nowhere near that, $35,000, $40,000 a year in insurance.
Yeah, you don't have the auto liability policy, the cargo freight, you know, all that crap. And that's the expensive stuff right there. Auto liability is no joke.
Yeah, I've talked to Tony one-on-one about cargo policies. And the reason he doesn't want to push them is because cargo policies piss people off.
Right.
Because there is no wiggle room in a cargo policy. It just is what it is. It's not like some of the others where maybe you go to a different underwriter and get a better rate. I guess cargo policies just are what they are. Not that he won't write them. I mean, let's be real. If someone asks for it, he'll write it. But it's not something he wants to focus on because it just pisses people off. What do you mean it costs this much? Well, it's what it costs. There's no wiggle room like there is with the other types of insurance.
Yep.
And you've got states like California that want to raise the insurance limits from $1 million to $5 billion, and that'll just decimate independents with their own authority.
Can you imagine what that's going to actually do to the market? It's going to be insane. Quick update. Ida said, Craig makes me miss driving and doing trucker math. Just saying. She likes the nerd stuff. It's fun. Just saying.
You can do trucker math. You don't have to drive to do trucker math.
Right? You could do my trucker math. Just you screw up and we're fighting, girl. I don't know exactly where you live, but I got a pretty good idea. Just saying.
Yeah. And it's fun doing it. And I don't mind helping. I enjoy helping those that are serious about learning and, really serious about knowing the numbers, doing the business. Because somebody helped me, so I don't mind, passing it on. And
that's part of what we talk to people about before they get into the business. Do you want to run numbers all the time? Because you have to.
Yep.
Otherwise, we talk to people out in the wild that don't even know if they're making money. Like literally, they don't know if they're making money. They just don't know. It's kind of bizarre.
So just an update. Tim said that over on the Swift Live, they're talking about the amount of loads and stuff going up fairly soon. 50,000 provisional drivers been taken off the road or failed their English tests. Another 200,000 will be gone within 2 years. So that's a lot. And we've already seen an uptick in the eastern and central areas, as per Adam Miller, Jim Fitzsimmons, and the other dude. I don't know why I can't remember his name, but whatever.
That guy.
Yeah, that guy. And they're just waiting to see California flip, and I think it's been flipping. I'm not positive, but from what I've been hearing little bits and pieces of, it seems to be making the turn. And once that turns all the way, look, we're out of it. We're climbing back to something of a new normal. Right. Yeah. And typically at that point, just for any of you who are not aware, that's usually a 2.5 year cycle. The rates will slowly rise. The spot market will do well. It'll even out and it'll start going back the other way because contract rates will start covering doing better than the spot market, right? Then when that tips over the other way, it goes the other way. So, it's usually a 2-year cycle to go all the way through that. From what we've seen in the past, it'd be nice to see that come back, because that was kind of it always made you feel good when it was down. You're like, okay, if we're at the bottom, man, I can do this, right? I can get through this, and man, am I going to be good when it's up again? Man, God, when this started dropping back after the COVID thing, good Lord, it was like, where is the bottom? Because we had a crazy skyrocket for a minute.
Yeah.
And then it was like just plummeting. I mean, in a deep nosedive into the ground and subterranean, deep dive, right? And we're like, well, it's going to turn around. 22, here we are, 26. Like, good Lord, it finally?
Yeah.
You
know? Remember a couple of years ago when we interviewed Adam and
right.
Was it Adam and Jim?
Yeah.
That we interviewed? And Adam, he makes us look like we don't know math at all. That guy. He is so smart. It's like, if you talk to him and start talking business, it's freaking, he'll make your head spin. But he flat out refused to make a prediction.
Right.
Just flat out, we don't know.
Yeah. Well, just before that, not too long before that, he had made a semi-positive thought on the process, right?
Yep.
Because
and he was wrong.
Right. And that was based on what the normal was. Nobody knew how to deal with this. Nobody's ever seen this before. We have not seen this kind of a market downturn that I'm aware of. I mean,
one of the more interesting things about post-COVID was I went to a meeting with my bank where it was specifically about the transportation sector.
Right.
And what they were saying was that so many people bought trucks that had no business buying trucks during COVID because the market was so high.
Right.
That the banks were so far upside down on those loans that they were just letting people drive those trucks for free, hoping they would eventually pay for them.
Right. Yeah. They didn't want to eat all that market back up. What the heck are they going to do with it?
Because you remember, like, the used truck market freaking went through the bottom hard.
Right.
Like overnight. I think my 16 went from being worth 50,000 down to like 20,000 within weeks.
Bro, Chewy went from like a 45 value. Mind you, I bought it, 1.4 million miles before that for only 42. Went from a $45,000 truck in a matter of weeks to like, $5,000 again. So, whatever.
Yeah.
It was crazy. But, again, these are all things that we've had to adjust to and try and keep an eye on so that, what we're always preaching is that we can't do anything about the politics of the world. Let's just be clear and real about that right now. What we can do is plan for either side of the political world.
Right.
How
are you going to pivot if this happens?
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's definitely a thing. Got that one in. Just saying. Trying to find an answer for Kaz. I don't think so. Not yet, man. It'll show up if it does. If it doesn't, whatever. It's fine. But yeah, so a lot of people aren't. They just don't know how to deal with it when it goes up and down like that, and it just breaks their brain. And it's funny because coming out of 08, those of us who went through the 08 debacle, I was still a company driver at the beginning of that, just saying. And even then I was watching it going, man, how are they doing it, right? But if you learned how to do it then, pretty much anything after that, you were okay.
One of the things that I saw too, though, was people learned how to make money in that environment. And when it did turn around, what did they do? They went back to old habits.
Right.
I did not. I made so much money after that turnaround. It was kind of crazy.
Right. And that's
as a lease operator.
That's what I was going to say. That was the problem is people learned how to work in that depressed point, you know, I mean, we even lost a penny a mile off our contract rate.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, they're like, we're gonna give it back, don't worry, next year, and that didn't happen. I mean, we eventually got, you know, a new contract rate that was actually better than that, which is fine, whatever. But we learned how to work in that bottom end of it, and I think we were at 95 cents a mile at that point. That was our bottom end of our sliding scale.
Mm-hmm.
And that was after we lost a penny, because it was 96 prior to that. And we learned how to make money in there, right? We slowed down. We took way better care of our trucks. We spent less. We tightened our belts a little bit, and you know, didn't buy all the extra fun, shiny stuff all the time, right?
Right.
And then the market turned around, and people went out of their minds, man, spending like they just won the lotto, and then stayed in that during that peak. And then the slam happened again, right? So, you know, from 2010 forward, you know, I mean, guys that were there, you know, 10 years got hammered when it dropped and went out of business, lost their business, had built fleets, the whole 9 yards. Completely wiped them out because they were living that high life instead of banking enough to support themselves in the event of a drop. And I think that's good practice. You know, if you got a fleet, you know, I've always told people, you know, you need at least 35 grand. I think the number is getting closer to 50 grand now, right? Because at 50 grand per truck, you have the ability to replace anything in that truck and or replace a truck if needed.
Right.
You know, from the used market. But, you know, guys had like, oh, I've got 10 grand and I've got 10 trucks on the road. Bro, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's what they say on average, if you have 5 trucks, count on one being down every single week out of those 5, one of the 5.
Yep.
You know, it's, what is that, a 20% not usable number?
I mean, you know, Colton, the trucker CFO, he recommends if you're going to build a fleet, you need to build it to at least 8.
Yeah,
so that
I
you
mean,
can weather all that.
Yeah, and think about, you know, I could replace, back in the last time I did the math, okay? The last time I did the math, I had it sorted out that with the way that I was paying and things like that, that I could replace my trucking income with 5 drivers driving, with 5 trucks running, team trucks. I'm a stickler for team trucks. It's a little tougher now because team freight's not as great in the market that I'm used to running. But if, you know, we got into expedited or something like that, I mean, good God, that's gold out there sometimes, especially for teams. Expedited solo, not so much.
Yeah, it kind of sucks.
You know, but 5 trucks replaced my trucking income completely. You know, on the profit. And I wasn't like raping anybody on the rates or anything like that. I was literally paying out 80% of my trucks at the time of the net profit. And I was making about $1,000 a week per truck per week. Right. So I could replace all of my income at 5 trucks at the time. You know, now
but then you have to deal with employees.
Right. Oh my gosh. But, you know, getting up into that 7 truck range is probably a much smarter move, like CFO says, because Colton's a smart guy and he's an accountant, a CPA dude. I mean, the whole 9 yards. 10 trucks is an absolute, I think that's a good milestone number. If you can get to 10 trucks, I think you're gold. As long as you manage your fleet properly. You can't be out in a truck running it. I don't believe that you can manage it well enough. Especially with 10 trucks, if you're not actually working in that part of your business. And trucking is an industry where you need to work in it or you making less profit.
Right. And, you know, past 10 trucks too, though, we have to point out that there's that individual that we know.
Right.
That said once he got past 10 trucks, he stopped enjoying it so much because it was just so much work to keep the fleet operating.
You know, and that's a very real thing as well. So, you know,
so he's got 30 trucks and he's not enjoying life. So.
Right. Yeah. You know, who wants to be at a place doing a thing where you're just angry and not happy all the time? Uh, you know, as much as some of us bitch about what it is that we're doing, it is weird that it's in our blood. I'm tired. I'm ready to like get out of a truck, like no joke. You know, I'm at that 20-year mark coming up, 18 at Swift, right? Yeah, I mean, Jeff's at that 20-year mark. Craig's definitely up in that mark because he's been, I pretty sure Craig's actually like 97 years old as well, by the way. But you know, Craig started as a young man. I started a bit later. Yeah, it's crazy, you know. So I'm getting tired because I started so much later than other people. I mean, I've talked to people that start at 21 and have these tremendous fleets, and man, they are just happy as a clam, right?
Yeah.
But then we've met others that are like, God, you know, I'm only 30 years old. I'm like, what? I thought you were 64 at least, looking at your face, because they ain't happy. They ain't doing well in this business, you know.
Well, I've got an advantage on that because I've looked old since I was young. So,
right. But you know what? You've held that same look the entire time, Jeff. Just saying.
yeah.
It's not like you're getting older looking. You've just been that forever. I think you're a clone.
Okay.
I'm just saying, body snatchers. So if anybody's here that hasn't been here before, feel free to drop questions in the comments. We would love to be able to answer your questions. I'm currently a contractor at Swift Transportations, as is Professor Cragio down here on the percentage board. Jeff is over at Panther running expedited freight as a solo. Not a great market. Just saying.
Yeah.
You know, we have a lot of people in our community that love what it is that we're doing. We all talk, we share stories, we share tips and tricks, and we help each other run their businesses better. You know, I'm going to run a quick commercial. We'll be right back in 50 seconds. We're going to be right back here. So don't go anywhere. Just got to, you know, try and pay some bills and stuff like that. Right. You dig? We'll be right back. You're either running your business like an owner or like an employee. And if you're stuck in that employee mindset, you're leaving money on the table. Company drivers wait for direction. Business owners create opportunities. Company drivers chase miles and just drive. Business owners chase profits and know their numbers. Want to run a real business? Start tracking your numbers. Know your cost per mile and start saying no to bad loads. Drop I run a business in the comments if you're done thinking like an employee. If you want to take this mindset shift further, join the Road Warrior Entrepreneurs community at www.rwedrive.com, where we have profit boosting strategies, coaching calls, and real road warriors winning together. Kaz, you bastard. I have kids that are older than 30. Just saying, man. I mean, I look pretty damn good. You know, I look terrible when I take my glasses off, though. Got like the crazy bags and I can't see stuff and I feel like Mr. Magoo. Whatever. Don't judge. Just saying. Only because it's close. T-Bone, that guy right there was causing problems for me the other night. Just saying. I was having a chat over on Fly Rabbit's channel about some stuff. And he just kept poking me. He wouldn't leave me alone. He was mean. Whatever. Ratted me out for driving on to Fort Benning. I'm like, really, bro? Dang. It was his fault. I was talking to him. It was his fault that I drove on there.
Okay.
He was like in my ear, make the next right. Turn now. And I did that because I thought it was, wait, I'm making it worse, aren't I? Saying that I was just following what the GPS said. Dang it. Whatever. It was his fault.
Steering wheel holder.
Right? It was, yeah, I was totally on autopilot. And it was a wrong, I think my autopilot was in Australia, so it was backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was great. Yeah, he didn't name names. I read it. I can't help it, T-Bone. T-Bone, this is the problem with my brain. I am known for ratting myself out over absolutely nothing that people be like, why'd you even bring it up, bro? I'm like, because it's there. It's true. I had to say it. Stop. Following the blue line. Oh God, the little diamond triangle thing, man. It's mesmerizing. It really throws me off when it says I should have turned right and I kept going straight because I like that way better. And it says I'm over there driving that way. And I'm like, I'm not. Crap, am I? I'm just saying. Maybe it was a simulation. I don't know what to say. What do you call it when you put a bunch of truck drivers in a basement? Oh Lord, here goes the Undertaker. Every time I look at his name, I keep wanting to call him Thundertaker. Whatever. And that's got many connotations that I could twist into very inappropriate conversations. But I'm not going to do that because Jeff's not here to push the buttons, or maybe I will because he's not actually here to push buttons because I don't think he knows how to do it when he's in this form. Whatever.
You're awful brave when you know that we don't have enough money to fly Donna out to Florida and beat you up.
See? Yes. The Undertaker followed up with a wine cellar. Just saying. What? That ain't probably too far from the truth. Let's be real. T-Bone said that he knows a newbie named Kaz who couldn't figure out how to fuel at a terminal. He didn't actually say Kaz, but I feel like he sent me a telepathic message. I don't know. You guys should fight that out. Kaz is broken, by the way. If you ever hear him talk, he doesn't even speak English because he's way up in there in Canada. That guy, I don't even know what the heck half of what the words are he says. Like, for real. It's not like French Canada. It's like nor'easter on a boat doing weird things. Just saying. Gosh, that accent. He doesn't speak English. I like when he tries to speak redneck. He's funny to hear on the phone. Just saying. His redneck version is hilarious because it doesn't work anywhere near. Oh yeah. See, look. Kaz just ratted himself out because I was just kidding. He's like, the pumps were broken. It wasn't my fault. Did you hear about the 2 JB Hunt drivers that got arrested in Arkansas? I can't read. That was from the Undertaker. This is a set. I just realized it was the Undertaker, so I know it's a setup for another thing. Southeast Canadian. That's funny. Good Lord. Imagine, if you will, my Southern accent arguing with. Yeah, oh God. Yeah. That's good stuff. And with a little, because I just got a weird little twang because she knows other languages and stuff. And it's hilarious sometimes because every now and again you're like, what was that sound? That wasn't quite right. But, I never point that out to her. Just saying. Because I'm a good person. And I would never just be like, hey, Ida, that sounded funny. Because, Ha ha. They were asked why they were in jail by other inmates, and they said, we don't know. All we did is what our dispatch told us. Oh, stop. I should have pre-read that. Leave that alone. You want to see it? Can't take that one. Yeah. Hebrew witch. It's a trip. She gets this weird little thing that comes into her accent, and it is mad good. Lancaster terminal pumps are not labeled correctly, and some of the pumps don't have handles. Just saying. Whatever, Kaz. I'm just saying, bro. Welcome to trucking. Can't figure that out yet. What have you been in this? Like a year? Cherry. Picking on people, that's not nice, but it's pretty funny.
So I had a guy on the Beyond group today.
Uh-huh.
Good criminy. He actually asked, hey, do we get a fuel surcharge at Swift? That was his question.
That's fantastic. That's not scary at all.
You signed that portion of your contract. You said you got a fuel surcharge.
I mean, they're literally putting on there like 12,572 initials and signatures.
Mm-hmm.
Look at every page you're signing. I don't understand how you sign without understanding what it is you're signing. I just don't get it. And you don't get to come back. We're not going to be like, oh, poor buddy. We're gonna be like, dude, you read it? No, you didn't, did you? You just learned a valuable lesson. It's not Swift's fault. It's not Prime's fault. It's not JB Hunt's fault. It's your fault. You did not read the contract.
Yeah.
If you do nothing else, read the dang contract. You need help? Reach out to somebody. Call a business lawyer. Be like, hey, man, can you help me out with this thing? Maybe they charge you a couple $100. I paid $1,000 my first one. Whatever. Absolutely explained everything to me. I have a custom GPT that now reads contracts for me. I plug them in a PDF format. It'll compare different contracts to each other, and it'll tell me the good, the bad, the ugly, what's okay, what maybe want to look at this, maybe want to negotiate that, and things like, I don't know, your rate per mile.
Oh, did you see the news out of New York last week? New York City?
Maybe.
Mondani wants to make it illegal to use ChatGPT, to use AI for any professional services. So your custom GPT would be illegal in the city of New York if he's got his way.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure breathing in the state of New York with that guy is illegal right now.
Yeah.
Or trying to be. Just saying, they're going to put a tax on it.
He's going to turn it into another California. That's what he's going to do.
But I
think he's doubling down on it.
Yeah, he's trying to make them look like everybody's gonna be like California.
That right wing California,
right? This guy's so far out, it's insane. 18 years and still a newbie. Hey, Kaz, I'm with you, brother. You know what? Exactly. The day you stop learning, hanging up the keys. You know what? I've often said the day I stopped learning is probably the day that I died. Just saying.
Yeah.
I don't like not learning stuff. And I especially don't like not learning from mistakes. Mistakes can be come back from. Failing is not a thing. It's not failure if you learn from it, right? It's a failure if you don't learn from it and you let it kill you, if that makes sense. Financially, mentally, physically, whatever. Just saying.
Did you watch the last episode of Star Trek Academy?
Oh my God. No.
You haven't, have you? So the engineer lady.
Yeah. She's awesome.
She has a quote about this. It's in the last episode. She said, we learn more from our failures than we do our successes.
Absolutely. No, and that is absolutely true words right there. As long as you're willing to learn from them, you have to own them, you have to accept them, and you have to take the salt, that's been rubbed in that wound and really get into it and understand, why did this happen? Talk to people you trust. Sit down and run math. Math is awesome, even if it's hard. Life is hard, but it's awesome. I believe it's better than the alternative because we don't know what really on the other side. We'll learn that when it happens, whatever. But right now, I'm just, trying to keep upright and breathing, y'all. I'm in no hurry to get anywhere else. You fail if you don't try. Well, I'll accept most of that because there are people who try and then they fail and then they quit.
Yep. We were just talking about that with our business today, Charlie.
Yeah. Dude.
We keep trying this, trying that, trying to make this deal, that deal.
You know what, though? We've been out there hustling and learning from these attempts too, though.
Mm-hmm.
We have things that are viable. We have things that we thought were a great idea. And when we sat down and really started talking them out, we're like, that's just dumb, bro. Why did I even think of that?
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to my coach, Josh Hull, today because Jeff was, kind of non-existent today in our meeting, but whatever. I'm not judging or pointing fingers or anything.
Hey, I had to go into a dock inside of a building, so
that was great. But I want to, you guys know that I'm trying to work with veterans and things like that, in the real world and things like that, coaching them on starting businesses and that sort of thing. If you didn't know that, well, now you knew. One of the things that I actually was talking to my coach about, the wonderful Josh Hull, was building a talk, a keynote speech, that type of thing, because there's a thing with veterans where we speak kind of a different language. We're all on the planet together. A lot of veterans, they hear certain things and it means something completely different to them that what a white collar person might hear. A vet may say, in like a group setting, on like a planning stage for a project or something like that, a vet will, very sharply and directly and bluntly, who owns this project? And all of a sudden the non-vets are like, what the man, that guy's kind of
Jerk
aggressive.
face.
Yeah. And what the vet meant, typically, most vets would have meant, was who owns this project? Because I need to know who's in charge so that, we can make sure it doesn't fall through the cracks, because if nobody takes ownership, there's no lead, right?
Mm-hmm.
The corporate world may say something along the lines, after a person or a vet puts an idea out there, maybe we could try this, and they'll say, let's circle back to that, and see if we can get the support behind it or something like that, and they're like, oh, he hates it. And why didn't he just make a decision? I don't get it. Right. In the corporate brain, that means, hey, I'm not saying no, but I need to get people above me, next to me, around me, board members, whatever. I need to get their input because that is the world that they live in. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So you need to understand that. Yeah. And so that's what I was doing. I was talking to him about building a speech that I could do for corporate and veterans alike. And I truly wasn't sure. I mean, I have a basic outline. I have some pretty good talking points that I've, already kind of decided on, but I needed a little more guidance as to how I should use it, how I should market it, and where would it be beneficial. And because I had that guy, Josh Holds, the most wonderful coach on the planet, to help guide me, while I'm throwing my squirrel-brained idea at him. And I've even got it written down. I mean, it's still on a screen over here. And I still scrolled it out to him, right? And he's like, okay, just actually do that thing. Let's break it down after that.
Right.
Same thing with our trucking businesses, you guys. We have this community of people who've been doing this for, God, I mean, Chris alone has been trucking since back when they had square wheels and they were using Brontosaurus to pull the wagon. Jeff and I combined, we're up in that 40 years of combined experience. Craig is like another 47 years of experience. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, really. Just the bit that sunk the Titanic. I'm just saying. There's so much more beneath the surface that you guys, should be tapping into. You have access to. There's a way to get to it. All you got to do is do it. Whoa, that was weird. That was like a rhyme thing. All you got to do. Oh, see, it just triggered a grandma song in my head. Simplest thing. There's nothing much to it. All you got to do is usually do it. I like the rest, but part I like best. Go. Never mind. Sorry. Wow. Compulsions, man. Yeah, good Lord. I just completely derailed myself. So, Craig and Jeff, feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
You guys suck.
Yes.
You're terrible people. You're just watching me. Well, probably not watching me. You're just listening to me flail in the air. Whatever. That's fine.
It's all good, man.
I know.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not going northbound.
I was reading comments in the Swift Live just now, and they were throwing me off. Freight Shakers is the one box T680P 579 is the after treatment, and the T680 parts fall off. The Volvos is electrical. I missed something.
Worst thing about each truck, I guess.
That's not a bad description of all those trucks, actually. I mean, in a nutshell. Oh, look, this is me in a nutshell. That's wrong. Stop it. See? Stop. I'm glad you guys can't see that. You'll have to go back. That was terrible. Chris, stop. Oh my God. He's quoting Wizard of Oz songs now. I can't look at chat. Anyhow, if you're new here, this actually isn't that uncommon for me to just completely fall off the rails. We do try to focus on the first hour of a real topic, which we did. So if you're here and you're tuning in late right now, or you're catching this on the replay, hopefully you went back and watched the beginning of this thing, because we actually had a pretty good conversation when I wasn't the one actually doing most of the talking. But that's fine. We're open to any questions, comments. If you're watching this on a replay, go down there in the comments if you've got questions, and we would absolutely love to be able to answer your questions there. Chris, dude.
I got a question for the guys that are running the mileage contract.
There you go.
You know, what's your methodology to how you plan and run yourselves?
Are you speaking about those who are on a mileage contract now and thinking about making the switch?
Yeah. Or those that are just running mileage, you know?
Okay.
What's your method for where you go and why you go there?
Right.
You know, or you just booking and running.
So I can share my side of this. You know, I'm still on the mileage contract currently. And I do, even though nobody believes it, I do actually go OTR every now and again. It's usually to go somewhere else that I need to get to, like Oregon or Phoenix. But then, you know, sometimes Rosie and I will try and work our way back, not necessarily the most direct route, but whatever is the most profitable route, right? If that means we actually have to be on the road for a couple extra weeks, then so be it. Doesn't happen a lot, but that the thought is there. You know, we look at those long loads. I mean, you know, we're a solid team. When we want to run team, we can run the hell out of team freight. Rosie's like a robot. She just goes, man. It's great. She got me as a kind of a mentor, just saying. You know, doesn't stop a whole lot. Neither one of us. We keep the left door closed and we run. When it's time to run, we run. And we try not to go into markets that we know are dead. So we have conversations with planners in those areas beforehand, before we even accept that load into PA. You know, call over there. Hey, how's freight looking? Ask the planner who's planning me. Hey, what do you guys got at the other end? We ain't got nothing. Then really, do you think I really want to take this? Oh, but you know, you're going to be there in 4 days from California. I'm like, I'm going to be there in 2, bro. I don't know what you're talking about. We're a team.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh yeah. You know, I'm like, so you know, if you can't predict 2 days out, maybe I'm not running that. Right. But again, different mindset. I'm not caring about the rates. I'm caring about what my market is at either end. This is the common ground, I think, in both versions here.
Right.
You need to start learning these markets, guys. We see it every day. Far too many people are not looking at the markets, and we touched on that earlier, but I feel like we have to keep hammering that one down and into people. And some people aren't hearing it well enough, and I'm looking for a hammer, and I ain't got a hammer, but clearly our hammer hasn't been big enough, so we're going to have to find a bigger hammer. So learn these lanes, learn the markets, learn to speak to people like a human being, not like you're their boss and you're an abusive man or woman or whatever. These are people you work with. They don't work for you. You don't work for them. These are people you work with. Get that into your head. They're your customer. They're not your boss. They are your customer. They're not your friend necessarily. Right. You can build friendly relationships, and you could actually build legitimately awesome friendships. You know, look at Ida. I look at her as a little sister. And I refer to her as the boss lady to target people, right? Well, my boss lady. I don't actually feel like she's my boss, but she is running that account. Make no mistake, she is not really kind to me on that account when she's planning. I pretty much know when she's planning because I get garbage, because she knows I'll take it and I won't say nothing other than, dang, you don't love me. You're garbage. But I'll still run it, right? Anyhow, things like that. Build those relationships. You've got to be able to look at that. But what are the rest of you doing? Let's see if there's anything in the chat. I don't know if there is because I've been talking and not reading. You got a little more further follow up there, Craig, while I read.
Like you said, relationships. Sometimes building that relationship yourself and not going off of what the relationship somebody else has built to turn out to be even better. Just like when I was on Northeast Regional, the OOC that was, handling the drivers, owners on that account. Everybody said she was a witch, she was this, she was that. Built the perfect relationship with her.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Had no it and still talk to her to this day.
Oh, here's a good one. So our big giant monstrous beast brother Matt Nissen, he said right now he's solely not switching right now because of he right now on the mileage side is the side that he understands. Once he starts grasping more of the more solid on the percentage, then he can make the switch. Learning the market areas is what he's working on, what he's trying to learn before he makes that switch. And he's doing that through people like Craig and people in the community
Smart.
who are, doing good things, rather than
that's the
jumping
best way
face
to
first
do it.
blind.
A lot of guys that are jumping blind are probably ending up like the guy that Ida was talking about earlier. They're not making money, and they don't know why. But there's a lot of guys that are doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
'Cause we heard from the last live, there were only 7 people that have gotten off of it so far. So
Right.
that tells you the vast majority are either learning or they're trying to, swim and not sink at the same time. But they're probably doing the work and getting better at it.
So Ida followed up with she built relationship with planners because if you didn't know, Ida was a super trucker in the best way of that, not the bad super trucker way. Stop it. She built relationship with planners, but never solely relied on that. She always made sure thing coming out, and she learned the areas that she needed to be in. She would also plan herself into an area after a big storm. Think about that. That's a brilliant move.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of freight was sitting there, even the ones that were loaded, trying to get out, didn't make it out, right? That doesn't mean the freight behind that need to go the next day, the next day, the next day. They got no trucks in.
Right.
So there's going to be a glutton of freight coming out of places like that, Otis Campbell is asking, and Craig, I'm going to let you throw this one at you. He says, what do you guys think of the Atlanta market? I normally go there and get out okay, but the traffic can chew up a whole day. Mileage rate is what he's on.
Yeah, for the running that area in that market for mileage, yeah, it really can suck. But, if you learn in that market to do percentage, there are some good lanes. It sucks to go around Atlanta, but for the right rate, I'll bounce right on through there.
Right.
Right.
There's a lot of places I will go when the money is the right number.
My next load is going to College Park, Georgia.
Right.
Then I got something that's 40 miles down the road coming out of Social Circle, Georgia, going up to Charlotte.
So just for fun, one of the things that Craig and I and Chris had talked about not too long ago was actually some of the Atlanta market freight coming out. There could be stuff sitting on the yard that they need delivered today that's been sitting there for a week because it was brought in. May not look good at first, but when you think about it, some of it is absolute garbage on the rate. We've discussed that, but some of those were actually pretty good, and they'll be under 100 miles. They could be 20, 30 miles. Again, you have to run through Atlanta. That could be 3 hours, but if the rate is enough to cover that, you picked it up in the yard that day, you delivered it that evening, if it pays $400 or $500 and you had nothing else, I don't know about you, but it sounds like a win to me.
Yep.
What'd you spend in fuel? Nothing.
And sometimes there's stuff that's sitting at a terminal that's T-call, and let's say It's T-call sitting there showing for pickup, but it doesn't deliver until the 27th.
Right.
Just got a heck of a good rate on it. You know, I'm not going to plan myself on it right now, but if I can, in the coming days up to it, plan myself to get it, then yeah, I'm going to snag it. But it just gives you an idea of what's sitting there if you can find something down the road to get you there to it, especially when it's got those long windows on it like that.
Right. Chris chimed in and said he's ending in Swanee on Saturday, part of that Atlanta metro area morning because the rate was so great going in there. I just said the Atlanta market has so many possibilities. There are so many customers there, and that's it.
Oh yeah,
the rates aren't horrible from what I've
Nope.
seen.
and
So-
there's a lot of states where you can stay intrastate
Right.
and make money. Never leave Georgia, never leave Alabama, never leave Florida.
I believe
Or-
more than half of Georgia trucking is all intrastate. And those
Yes.
guys seem to do well. They're driving ugly, horrible trucks. Some of them got some pretty trucks. I ain't gonna lie. But you'll see, a good majority of trucks, they are ugly, beat up, raggedy looking trucks. But damn it, those trucks are running.
Yep.
They're paid for and they're making money. It's like when I was running Chewy back in the day, the 1.8 million miles. Feel like, what the hell? I mean, there was no clear coat left on that truck. It was supposed to be that nice, maroon color, and it was ashy as all get out. People are like, is that thing pink, white? What color is that truck? I'm like, all I see is green, yo, because it was all profit, everything I ran. I could run 600 miles in a week and put money in the bank. Just saying. Not a lot of money, but money. Yeah, Texas is another market. I was talking with Victor Jackson, and he's thinking about looking at the load board a little bit better. He wants to work with us, by the way, Craig, and see what we can figure out. I'm not putting that one on you. He's willing to wait till I get on it. But just let you know, that's another guy, and that's another good market that we could do some learning on, I think. Because his thoughts are, right now he's on a Walmart contract out of Temple. He's home like every other day, but if he was working that Texas intrastate, so he never leaves the state border, if he's working that Texas intrastate, he could just be off on the weekends. And that was something that he and I were discussing. I was like, I'm the exact opposite right now with the schedule I've been running, because I typically run, Thursday to Monday or Friday to Monday, right? So I'm working the weekends when everybody else in my house is pretty much home, grandkids and all that, right? And boy, am I backwards. I really need to flip that. And that's what he wants is, because he'll be off every other day during the week. And his lady person is like, bro, I got to work in the morning. We can't go do nothing tonight, right? Can't go out to dinner. Can't do this. Can't do that. Kids, they're off on the weekends, things like that. So he's thinking about seeing if it's viable for him to run intrastate in the state of Texas so that he can be home on the weekends and just plan himself, because a lot of shippers and receivers aren't open on weekends anyhow. I'm like, that sounds like a great plan to me, bro. And talk about making your home life a little bit better, right? That's where I see a lot of benefit to the percentage stuff, is you're more in control. Those of you who want to run hard and just go everywhere, do it, man. If the rates are there, keep following them. See the country, make more money, and do what you need to do, what keeps you happy. Those of you who want to get home a little more often, I'm not saying, you go work 2 days and you're home for a week, because that's just crazy, whatever. But, if you can get some sort of semblance of normal in a trucking career in your life, man, you have found something. That's why I love the Target thing, and I'm sad that it's going away. I should have probably left 2 years ago, to be honest, because of the revenue thing, right? But I've keep doing my thing. I definitely could have made more money doing other things. However, this met my family needs that I wanted to meet, and my other business goals and things like that. I only work half the week. Let's just be real, and Rosie and I don't really team, she drives up to the customer overnight and I do deliveries and drive back, during the day. We're doing like 3,000 miles a week between us. That's it. Right. We really had a crazy hard week if we get 4,000 miles in a week, you know, and other people would be like, bro, why do you even leave the house? I'm like, it meets our needs. I don't know what to tell you. Right.
Right.
But I think that on this percentage thing, I think that there's an awful lot of potential, keeping in mind that rates do go up and down.
Yes.
So when they are high and you are booming, please put money away, set something aside for when it goes down, you can still cover whatever bills and things you need to cover. I think that's really important. I mean, Craig, Jeff, you guys can chime in on that. Let me know what you think.
Oh yeah, definitely important because it's at some point it's going to come back down. And while it's good, like you said, Charlie, save so that when the rates do come back down, now you've got that, that wiggle room. You've got that cushion. That way, if you got a real bad week, you got a little pot to pull out of it.
Right. Chris said that, his first 2 loads were completely intrastate in Alabama, aka Charlie's area. That's funny. And he made a killing burning hardly any fuel. Trucker Tim said, I'd consider percentage if I was able to get loads stacked that can still send me west. Too much traffic east of the Mississippi. That's his preference, right? Rates going into California, sometimes not awesome, depending on where you're coming from. Rates going out of California can be interesting. Let me fix Jeff's settings.
Can you guys hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah.
We're staring at you driving.
Doing percentage, why would you want to go west if you don't have to?
Right.
Would be my question. I mean, if you just like to run out west, it's understandable. But you can make more money staying in a few states.
Right. And I mean, that's really a thing, if you're not doing those things, yeah. I mean, there's just so many things that you could do wrong to yourself if you're not paying attention. And you just really, you just have to be aware of it. I can't turn off your camera, just so you know. I used to be able to. Get him. I love that sound. It's one of my favorite sounds. Is that wrong?
People are so stupid, man.
This is great. Live trucking.
I'm at the TA just, where am I? It's really tight. People are trying to park. The reason you lost is because I had to pay for parking.
Yeah. Kaz said Denver is a black hole for load rates. Figured it would be a better option because it's one of the biggest customers. That's one of the reasons those rates are garbage, is because those beer loads down into California, anywhere in California, are absolute train wrecks. And it seems that rates going the other way out of there. I mean, I don't know what other people are seeing. I don't know what you guys have seen on the board, but I don't know. It hasn't sounded good coming out of Denver, Colorado as a whole, from my understanding. So I mean, but those are things that you're learning, and Kaz is figuring that out. Maybe you got to take a few lumps to understand what's going on, right? It's just part of the game. Make sure you're learning though.
Yeah, those loads out of Golden only pay good if they're intrastate in California. I mean, in Colorado, if it's going out of Colorado, the pay on those things suck.
Ben Brockton, by the way, love that picture. Watching Chuck E. Cheese being handcuffed and walked away from a place. That is hilarious. And I believe that happens more times than you understand.
Have you seen the pictures of Puxatawny Phil getting arrested for bringing us more winter?
Good. We need to cook that guy, put him on a barbecue.
I saw one the other day where he was on a chain gang.
That's great. But Ben Brockton said under 2 years experience, cent per mile or a mileage contract is the way to go. After 2 years, you're nuts if you ain't on percentage. I agree and disagree with you. I agree in that I really believe people coming into the industry and just becoming a contractor, things like that, really, a mileage contract has a lot of saving graces, provided you're on the right kind of mileage contract. 2 years for some people wouldn't. I met people that 20 years of driving experience as contractors, they should not go to percentage.
Yeah.
I know it sounds harsh, whatever. It's real. They're just so set in their ways and just, there's people out there, like I said, grabbing these 1,800, 2,000 mile loads. They're like, that's great. And then they're pissed off because at the end, they're like, why didn't this cover my fuel in the $6 fuel coming out of California market?
Yep.
The national average is over $5. The California average is $6 per gallon right now.
Well, during the first week, a percentage.
In fact,
when
the California average is 6.428 cents, $6.42.8. Damn it. Sorry, go ahead, Craig. I didn't mean to stomp on you. I was stuck.
In that first week, a percentage. I seen guys commenting on Facebooks. Oh, I'm sure glad I didn't go percentage. Those guys are about to get screwed. And even when fuel jumped, I still made more money than guys who were running mileage.
Yep.
Running less miles than they did. And even on a mileage contract, and it's one of the things Jeff used to always talk about, there are guys who are running 22 to 2,500 miles, taking home more money than guys running 3,000 miles a week on a mileage contract.
I have seen people making more on 2,500 miles a week versus teams running 5,000 miles a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just
Jeff
saying.
used to always talk about it. It's about knowing the numbers and making that mileage profitable.
One thing I'll tell you right now, Charlie, I'm passing a lot more people than I normally do.
Right.
So people are slowing down.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get it. Now, when you're in an operation like mine, where you're trying to run expedited freight solo, I have to pump it up to be able to get there on time. But they also pay me for that.
Right. And that's the thing. You're
running like
market.
I'm not making Craig numbers because I'm on a mileage contract, but this loads it up at $2.20 a mile. So that definitely helps.
Kaz, not that I'm trying to pick on people, but you ain't wrong. Steering wheel holders versus business people has always been the difference. We've got people out here that have 2 good years of experience and have taken the time to learn the business, to learn lanes, to build relationships, to learn all these other things and speak to people who have done what they want to do successfully. Those people are probably really ready to do some fantastic things. People, however, that were out here and they were doing 20 years, but it was the same 1 year over and over and over for 20 years. Lord help those people. They don't want to change. They don't want to learn. And that's fine. I mean, I'm not knocking it, but don't make the jump. Understand which one of those you are. And if you're not sure which one you are, you probably are the first. Nothing wrong with that. It happens. You get into cycles and you get a groove and you just do that thing. And if you're happy with it, by all means, man, keep doing your thing. I ain't mad at you. But
that's the weird thing that we're at in society as a whole right now.
Right.
I'm never mad at somebody for driving, 80 miles an hour. If that's what you want to do, fine. But you got to be able to tell me what it costs you. And you have to be fine with that. Maybe you're making $5 a mile doing something that you've got to do 80 miles an hour for. That's cool. Right. That's great. But if you're making $1.15 and doing 80 miles an hour, you might not be doing so well.
Right. And a lot of people aren't factoring in that wear and tear, the increased tire wear, the fuel mileage drop, all these things. A lot of people don't understand. Just because you run 100,000 miles on a set of tires doing 60 versus a guy running 100,000 miles doing 80, I promise you his tires are far more worn and far more destroyed than the guy doing 60, traveling the same miles. Could be the same roads, same routes, everything.
Right.
It's physics. It's friction. It's the whole 9 yards. Those hitting those potholes harder pushes deeper in on the flexion of the rubber. I mean, all these things change, and that changes the belt strength within, because too much flexing in those belts over time, you all bent a paper clip back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, boop, pops apart. You didn't cut it, you broke it from heat, friction. These principles apply to all of these things. So, driving faster, if you're not being compensated for it, absolutely is detrimental to your bottom line.
Absolutely.
In times like these, when fuel is super high, I'm telling you, I am absolutely sad I did not get to drive this week, and I'm not in that fuel surcharge market. My luck is it'll drop $2. Jeff threw this at me earlier. Yeah, Mark's going to drop $2 next week, dummy. And I'm like, that would suck so bad. On fuel, that is. And I'm like, you're just a mean person. I'm like, but you're probably not wrong. But no, they're not really going to drop that much. But it very well could be lower next week, right?
Someone called me out in one of my Facebook groups for making the comment that I make more money when the fuel goes up.
Right.
And his comment to me, I got to give it to him somewhat. He said, people are dying for your profit.
Right.
Because the whole reason why the fuel is so high is the war, right? But here's the thing. I can't do a doggone thing about that. I can't.
Right.
That's not in my circle of influence at all.
Look, you could get out there and be patriotic and share your views and your opinions on the matter, and I don't fault people for that, okay? But the fact remains, the rates are high right now. Fuel cost is crazy, and we're gonna make hay while the sun is shining. I'm not profiting from people dying. I'm profiting because our market is what it is right now.
Right.
I don't know what to tell you. I look at it differently. I'm running a business. There has to be a little bit of callousness in running a business. Yes, you can be morally good in all these things, but it's not a business if it doesn't make profit.
Exactly.
It's a hobby. So bottom line is, you need to make a profit, or you're not running a business. You are paying for a job or having a hobby. We're a little over our time, so let's wrap it here. Hopefully, if you joined late, and you didn't hear what Craig's experience was with Seabright Insurance on a recent claim after he hunted down, tracked, chased down, and destroyed a deer on the highway, or maybe not. Actually, the deer hit him. Then go back and watch the beginning of the show. Also, we've been talking, almost the whole show about the percentage and load boards and those parts of this industry. And it's not just at Swift. I mean, these are things that apply all across the board. We were, a lot of talk about Swift specifically because that's where Craig and I are at. Jeff, of course, is at Panther. We have people in here that are running all kinds of stuff. I know Kaz is a recently new contractor to Swift. T-Bone is out doing his thing. Things like that. We got TK, Tashomi Knight. He runs over at Western Express, pulling, and he's about to make that prime swap. So he's actually been talking to Craig about understanding how to work on a percentage and load board and things. So, these things cross over. It's not Swift specific. We can give you great detail about some Swift things, some Panther things, and what have you. And through our community, we've got a much broader range of knowledge. different
Yep.
carriers and things like that, contracts, rates, how to work those places and things like that. So if you're interested, you can always reach out to us. We've got a paid community. If you're looking for insurance, it's been scrolling across the bottom of the screen the whole time we've been on tonight. Reach out to Seabright Agency, give them a call. And it doesn't matter if you're at Swift or any other carrier, give them a call, see what kind of rate they can work up for you. And there's a pretty good chance that it'll be a good rate. Just call the number on the screen, 800-366-6466. You'll probably talk to someone like Sandy or someone along those lines. Sandy's great. Country, super nice lady. Love her. She's got the crazy drawl. She's up there in like Tennessee. She's fantastic. Love that lady. Reach out to Jeff, reach out to Craig. We've got all these people in the comments. Leave comments down below. We can follow up with these things later. If you don't leave comments down there, we're not going to answer questions, right?
Right.
No stupid questions, y'all. Unless you're asking, how much am I making per mile after I sign this contract? I'm poking you in the eye. I'm gonna call you out. How are you running it and you don't know how much you're gonna make? That's something. Professor Cragio, I appreciate you coming out here and sharing the knowledge, brother. And if people aren't aware, you can actually find Craig on Facebook and things like that. And you want to throw some stuff out or ways to get a hold of you, Craig? Don't overwhelm the guy. He's too nice, and he's got a brand new pretty baby. I'm just saying.
Hey, you can get a hold of me on Facebook.
Just
Always
look
in
him
the
up.
Contractors Corner.
Yep.
Find me there.
Jeff, what do you got? Or Craig, anything else you want to throw out there or anything like that? Last piece of advice, or areas you don't want them running freight in because it's yours? Oh.
Yeah, stay out of the Northeast.
Yeah.
Just stay out.
Thanks, Craig. Seriously, man, I appreciate you, brother. And I know this was last minute. I just threw it at you today. Hey, man, you want to come talk about these things? It was funny because when I started to talk to you, I couldn't remember what I wanted to talk to you about when I was texting you. It was funny. I was telling Jeff, I'm like, I want to get Craig on, but I can't remember what the heck I want to talk about. Yeah, look, there you go. It was the insurance claim. That was the part that I had forgotten. I'm like, I know we can talk about percentage stuff if he's cool with it, but but yeah, thanks for popping in here, brother. I appreciate it as always. Again, people who don't know, Craig is definitely a big active member in our group. And just full of all kinds of knowledge. And there's lots of people like that. Jeff, what do you got, brother? Take us out.
Keep that rubber side down, guys. And remember, with no action, there is no traction.
Ida, I can't do a same day on Thursday, just so you know. I got to be here to catch the mail because I got a legal document that's going to be here Thursday evening that I got to sign and put right back out. Anyhow, the rest of you guys, remember, there's no one out here looking after us but us. So take care of each other. If you see someone backing into a spot and they're struggling, don't just get the camera out. Offer to help them. When they yell at you and say, oh, you're just a dumb guy. Look, by all means, get the camera out and let's watch it. Just saying, it'll be great. Then we can laugh at it because people like that get what they deserve or should. I'm just saying karma is not always our friend. Yeah. So with that being said, you can always catch us here Tuesday nights, typically at 6 p.m. Eastern time. And we like to talk about trucking. Sometimes we go off the rails and we talk about other things too. I mean, there's been talks about lobsters and all sorts of things before. Anyhow, we'll see you back here. Check out some of the earlier videos. Like, subscribe, click the subscribe, hit the bell, all those things that, YouTube people say. Kaz said, Ida, tell him he needs to do his job. You need to shut up, Kaz. Stop it. We're out.